And this is just the strategic dimension. We're not even talking about the moral dimension. I mean, the Israelis are executing a genocide in Gaza, and we are complicitous in that genocide.
When you say it's a genocide, what do you mean?
Well, if you look at what the definition of a genocide is, right, it's where one country tries to destroy either all or a substantial portion of another group, another ethnic or religious or national group, for the purposes of basically destroying that group identity. That's what you're talking about here. I think that that's the definition of genocide. It's laid out in the 1948 convention. I think that what the Israelis are doing fits that description. And lots of people and organizations agree with me on that point.
No electricity, no food, no water, no fuel. Everything will be closed. We are fighting against human animals.
وحوش بشرية رايحين نتعامل كيف لازم. إسرائيل فرضت إغلاق كامل على غزة ومش راح يكون في عندكم كهرباء ولا مي بس دمار. بدكم جهنم راح تحصلوا على جهنم.
A Jew who defends himself and others against the murder of Palestinians is not a murder suspect but a hero who will receive my full support. And the far-right finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, openly said that the Palestinian town of Harara should be, quote, erased. That was after hundreds of Israeli settlers went on a rampage, burning dozens of Palestinian homes.
It's very important to understand here that just killing large numbers of Palestinians is not necessarily genocide. I mean, the United States, when it firebombed Japan in World War II, killed many more Japanese than the Israelis have killed Palestinians in Gaza. There's no question about that. But no one would ever accuse the United States of executing a genocide against Japan. The United States was killing large numbers of Japanese civilians. And by the way, we killed large numbers of German civilians as well.
Millions.
Yeah, for purposes of ending the war. We wanted to end the war. And if you look at how we treated the Japanese and how we treated the Germans once the war ended, it was very clear that we were not bent on genocide. This is not to excuse what we did against Japan and Germany. And I do believe we murdered, I would use the word murdered, large numbers or millions of Japanese and Germans together. But in the case of what's going on in Gaza, right, what's happening here is that the Israelis are systematically trying to destroy the Palestinians as a national group, right? They're targeting them as Palestinians, and they're trying to destroy Palestinian national identity in addition to murdering huge numbers of Palestinians.
אני אומר לך יותר מזה, כל ילד, כל תינוק בעזה הוא אויב. האויב הוא לא החמאס, והוא גם לא הזרוע הצבאית של החמאס, כמו שהפצ"רית שלנו מספרת לנו שאסור לנו לפגוע בחמאסניק, אלא אם כן הוא חלק מהזרוע הצבאית. כל ילד בעזה הוא האויב. אנחנו צריכים לכבוש את עזה וליישבה, ושלא יישאר שם ילד עזתי אחד. אין ניצחון אחר.
I mean, it's not just a rage reflex. This is a strategy. Of course, 2.5 years later, almost 3 years later. What is the strategy? What's the goal of this?
My view on this is that the Israelis have long been interested in expelling the Palestinian population from Greater Israel. If you look at Greater Israel, this includes the Israel that was created in 1948 and the occupied, plus the occupied territories. This is the West Bank.
Post-67.
Post-67, West Bank and Gaza. So West Bank, Gaza, and what we call Green Line Israel. That's Greater Israel. Inside Greater Israel, there are about 7.3 million Jews and about 7.3 million Palestinians. And from the get-go, going back to the early days of Zionism and the views of people like David Ben-Gurion, they believed that you needed a Jewish state that was about 80% Jewish and 20% Palestinian. In an ideal world, you would get rid of all the Palestinians. But the least bad alternative is 80-20. But you actually have a situation in Greater Israel where you have 50-50. So October 7th happens, and what the Israelis see is an excellent opportunity for ethnic cleansing. And they make this clear. In other words, it's an excellent opportunity to go to war in Gaza and drive the Palestinians out of Gaza and solve that demographic problem that they face.
That's such a dark thing, and therefore that's a very strong allegation. On what basis are you making it?
Oh, there's just a huge amount of data that supports this in the Israeli press. They have been perfectly willing to make this argument loudly and clearly.
מה אתה מציע שנשנה? אני מציע קודם כל שאנחנו לא נצא ממרכזי הערים בעזה. דבר ראשון. דבר שני, אני מציע, ואני אומר את זה בצורה הכי מפורשת.
להישאר שם, עם הצבא,
לכבוש את עזה,
לכבוש את עזה, ולהיות אחראים לתושבי עזה.
לא, מה שיכול וצריך לקדם זה תוכנית הגירה, עידוד מרצון כמובן, שיאפשר להם ללכת...
אתה מאוד שצה"ל יהיה בתוך עזה, ומרצון נגרש אותם. וזה מעשי?
אודי, בוודאי. אם אנחנו נכריע אותם, בוודאי שזה מעשי.
The issue of genocide, which I'll get to in a second, is a different issue. I'm separating ethnic cleansing from genocide. So what happens after October 7th is that the Israelis see an opportunity to drive the Palestinians out of Gaza. And you want to remember that you had massive ethnic cleansing in 1948 when the state is created. Virtually all of those people in Gaza are descendants of the ethnic cleansing of 1948.
We're kicked out of another place.
And sent to Gaza.
Yeah.
אתה אומר על אלה שקוראים לך אוכל מוות בהקשר הזה?
אני חושב שיש ניסיון במשך תקופה מאוד ארוכה לייצר דה-לגיטימציה למי שמתנגד לעסקה. לא תהיה הפסקת לחימה.
תמורת תוכנית טראמפ.
מה זה תוכנית טראמפ? תוכנית טראמפ מבוססת על השמדה של חמאס.
ברור.
ואז על הוצאה של העזתים מרצועת עזה.
אתה חושב שזה
אני
יקרה?
חושב שזה הפתרון הריאלי היחיד. שמעתי את שר החוץ הספרדי, אומר, אי אפשר לעשות את זה לאנשים שעזה היא מולדתם. 75% מאוכלוסיית עזה, עזה היא לא מולדתם. יודעת מה זה מולדתם? חיפה, טבריה, עכו, יפו, אלה לאוכלוסיית פליטים מ-48.
And by the way, there was another massive ethnic cleansing after the 67 war in the West Bank. So this is the third attempt at a massive ethnic cleansing in Gaza. So this is hardly surprising at all. And in fact, if you go back and read the literature on the creation of Israel, this is all thoroughly documented. Ethnic cleansing was a subject that the Zionists talked about from the get-go, and they talked about extensively, because there was no way they could create a greater Israel without doing massive ethnic cleansing. You want to remember that when the Zionists come to Israel, starting in the late 1800s, early 1900s, there are remarkably few Jews in Palestine. And those Jews are not Zionists. The Zionists are the Jews who come from Europe.
Right.
And they understand that they're moving into a territory that's filled with Palestinian villages and Palestinian people. And the question you have to ask yourself is, how can you create a Jewish state on a piece of territory that's filled with Palestinians without doing ethnic cleansing, massive ethnic cleansing? And the answer is you can't. So they're talking about and thinking about ethnic cleansing from the get-go. So the idea that they wouldn't think of what the situation looks like after October 7th is an opportunity to do ethnic cleansing, you know, it belies...
So it wasn't really a land without people for a people without land.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And David Ben-Gurion, Vladimir Jabotinsky, all these key Zionist leaders understood that full well. And they understood that they were going to have to do horrible things to the Palestinians.
המרקם חיים, הזכות שלי, של אשתי, של הילדים שלי, להסתובב בכבישי יהודה ושומרון, יותר חשוב מזכות התנועה של הערבים. סליחה מוחמד, אבל זו המציאות, זו האמת, זכות החיים שלי קודמת לזכות התנועה.
שוב, לצערי ולתדהמתי, הייתי צריך לעסוק בימים האחרונים בשאלה אם לנוח'בות יש סלסלת פירות, יש פירות, אין להם פירות. ואני אומר, לטעמי, צריך להוריד אותם בכדור בראש, לעשות עונש מוות למחבלים, ולהעביר את הצעת החוק של עוצמה יהודית בקריאה שלישית. אבל עד אז, אנחנו ניתן להם את המינימום שמתחייב לפי החוק, לא יותר מזה.
They understood that. And they were explicit in saying that they did not blame the Palestinians 1 second for resisting what the Jews from Europe were going to do to them. They fully understood that they were stealing their land. And they fully understood that it made perfect sense for the Palestinians to resist, which of course they did. But anyway, just to fast forward to October 7th, what happens after October 7th is that the Israelis see an excellent opportunity to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians in Gaza. You have about 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza. Just to be clear, you have about 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza, about 3.2 million in
West
Bank, and about 1.8 in Green Line, Israel. Okay? So this is an opportunity to get rid of those Palestinians. And the way to do it is to turn the IDF, the Israeli military, loose and let them tear the place apart. And the idea is that that will just drive the Palestinians out. But the problem that the Israelis face is the Palestinians don't leave. Both the Egyptians and the Jordanians, which are the two countries that the Israelis would like to drive the Palestinians into, make it unequivocally clear that that's not going to happen. But here's what happens, Tucker. And I think it makes sense if you listen to the logic. They start with the goal of ethnic cleansing. I don't believe they want to murder all of the Palestinians in Gaza.
If you gave me a button to just erase Gaza, every single living being in Gaza would no longer be living tomorrow, I would press it in a second. That's just, I think most Israelis
if
probably
that's
agree.
the choice, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would press it right now. Give me that button and press it right now.
There you go.
And I think most Israelis would.
Yeah. Most Jewish Israelis.
They wouldn't talk about it like I am.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before you think, well, who are these people? Clearly, they're just two nut jobs who are totally unrepresentative. One of them, Naor Meninga, worked for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on his 2019, 2020, 2021 and 22 campaigns. His website shows him posing with Netanyahu over and over again, filming him at his desk, looking at their work together, which Netanyahu looks very pleased with. They're wearing different clothes in the photo, so you can see that this is indeed a long-standing working relationship. Let's listen to another clip. It starts by discussing the outbreak of polio in Gaza.
Doing it
to appease the...
It's because we're looking for international legitimacy.
Mm-hmm.
No one actually gives a shit. Zero people in Israel, if you go up to them and you're like, do you care if this baby in Gaza gets polio? They'll be like, I don't fucking just
Yariv Oppenheimer would care.
Yeah, okay, there'll be like 20 people who care and they're all wearing Meretz shirts. Like, fuck them.
Yeah.
Polio.
Also, as long as they're in their Nakba state in their tents, and we're living still, if you put aside the news, day to day is okay. Yesterday we went to a concert in Ayalkon Park. We had lots of fun, me and my girlfriend, Shalom Chanoch. We danced, and it was amazing. And you can't help but think it's nice to know that you're dancing in a concert while hundreds of thousands of Gazans are,
homeless,
like sitting in a tent and eating.
Makes it even better.
Yeah,
more enjoyable concert. If only they put the
live video
footage of Gaza. But seriously, you guys that. That's what people don't understand. Look, I know that you guys might be appalled by this, some of the listeners, but seriously, this is how Israelis feel. And you might think that Eitan Weinstein and Naor, who refuses to kind of back me up on it publicly.
I'm from the UN.
Yeah, he's the UN. But you might think I'm extreme. But I have conversations with lots of people, coworkers, friends, people enjoy knowing that they are suffering.
No, also it's very prominent on Twitter.
We, as a Jewish people, bring flourishing to a place while the Palestinians just bring shit culture and destruction. It's like no one talks about the fact everything is about comparing us, right? And saying, oh, well, what would we do in this situation? What would they do in this situation? And trying to, it's like, no, we're better. We're just better. We're better. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. We're better. We have a better culture. We're a better society. And yes, it would be a great thing if we took over all the West Bank and they weren't there.
They just simply want to drive them out. But the problem is they don't leave. And then the question is, what do you do? And what they do is they continue to up the attacks, increase the attacks, kill more and more people in the hope that they will drive them out. And
I'm sorry, I should have asked you this. Why do they want Gaza in the first place? It seems a lot of trouble killing all these people, committing, atrocities on camera. I mean, the press are barred, but we're still getting a lot of video out of the area. That's a big hit. Why would you be willing to go through all of that to get Gaza? Why do they want it?
Well, the Zionists from the beginning have wanted a greater Israel. And David Ben-Gurion wrote a piece in 1918. And David Ben-Gurion, of course, is the founding father of Israel.
Yes.
Wrote a piece in 1918. I don't think it's ever been published in English. It's just in Yiddish, where he describes what his goals are for a greater Israel, right? And it obviously includes Green Line Israel, Gaza, the West Bank. It includes parts of the East Bank. It includes parts of southern Syria. It includes parts of southern Lebanon. And it includes the Sinai Peninsula. Just think about that. That was Ben-Gurion's vision. And this was a vision that was shared by almost all the early Zionist leaders. And there are still many people in Israel who are in favor of a greater Israel. They don't want a tiny Israel. The Israel that was created in 1948 is a tiny state.
Yes.
Even with Gaza and the West Bank, it's quite small. It's a postage stamp-like state, right? They want more territory, and they believe they have a historical right to that territory. Israel has never said, these are our final borders. What are Israel's final borders? They've never been articulated. And the reason is the Israelis don't want to say out loud. The early Zionists did not say out loud what their intentions were. David Ben-Gurion didn't get up on a soapbox and say, we are going to create a greater Israel, and it's going to include southern Lebanon, southern Syria, the occupied territories, Green Line Israel, the Sinai, and so forth and so on.
It's just a little, irony isn't powerful enough a word. I can't think of one. It's odd that the very same people who are saying we need to consider tactical nukes in order to preserve the territorial integrity of the sovereign nation Ukraine, because national borders are sacrosanct, that's our sacred norms are violated when those borders are violated, are saying it's totally okay for this one country to take over other countries.
But this gets back to my point to you.
Right?
I agree completely. We support Israel unconditionally, right? In other words, whatever Israel does, especially vis-a-vis the Palestinians, the United States backs them to the hilt.